My name is Elena.
My name is Lorenzo. Ready to rumble.
Hi, I'm Penny. I've been baking professionally for 14 years now.
The last time I made chocolate chip cookies was so long ago.
This past winter, for sure. But I've actually been cooking for 14, 15 years.
At my retail bakery, we made chocolate chip cookies pretty much every single day.
We start with dry ingredients, 2 1/4 cups of flour.
All-purpose flour. You really have to be precise with this, especially flour.
11 ounces of all-purpose flour. As a professional pastry chef, instead of using volume measurements, we weigh all of our ingredients.
And then we have
Salt.
Granulated white salt.
We're using sea salt today. Sea salt's great because it has some impurities still left behind, and it's in the impurities where the flavor is.
Next, we're gonna do
Baking soda?
Baking soda
Make sure it's baking soda and not powder.
and baking powder. We want a really thick cookie, and the combination of baking powder and baking soda is going to help me achieve that.
So I'm gonna start my wet ingredients.
We have 2 sticks of softened butter. We'll have to put them in the microwave.
I have 2 sticks of butter, room temperature, unsalted.
So not only do I want to melt my butter, I actually want to smoke it. And that's one of the ways that I'm going to add a little bit more of a savoriness to the cookie. I'm going to poke a little hole and insert the tip of the smoker. About 40 minutes or so, I'll be ready to finish my cookies.
I'm gonna get the sugars, which we have brown sugar and
White granulated sugar.
vanilla extract. All right, a little bit more than a teaspoon. Okay, we'll just go with that.
Plum.
Instead of vanilla extract, I'm going to use an actual fresh vanilla bean.
Now I'm going to get my eggs.
The ninja.
Okay.
That's so stupid.
Oh, there's a little bit of shell in there.
My goodness, look at how beautiful those eggs are. Those super, super yellow yolks comes from the feed of the chicken.
Adding the butter.
And that's it. It's ready for the chocolate.
The favorite part. 2 cups of the chocolate chips.
But just to give it some pizzazz, some little whew, I like to add bittersweet chocolate. Just crack it up in your hands, open the package up. If you want it a little bit finer, that's fine. Just get your knife, be careful, please.
I really like these fèves, which are a couverture chocolate, 74%, and then bakes off into great shards of chocolate throughout the cookie. I have a really big scoop here, which is about 4 ounces. I like to scoop them. If the cookies are all different sizes, they're gonna bake at different rates. One important step is to freeze the cookie dough for 24 hours before you bake the cookies. It allows the flavors to meld and you get a more complex, interesting cookie. And I also smoked this salt as well to amplify the smoky flavor that would be in the butter. So just sprinkle a little bit on top. And these are ready for the oven.
Now we're going to cook them at 375 degrees for about 9 to 11 minutes.
I'm gonna throw these in at 375 for 11 to 13 minutes.
These are going to bake for about 25 to 28 minutes in a 275-degree oven.
Let's see if we can get this out. They went in a little bit longer than they should have.
And they got so much bigger.
All right, let's see. They've got the chocolate chips. They're a little melted. Let's try opening it. Okay. We'll see.
It's golden brown. It actually smells terrific. I can see all the chunks of chocolate, the bittersweet, the semi-sweet chocolate.
The cookie is really nice and thick, and it's very evenly browned all the way around. The edges are nice and crispy, and the middle is still really soft. And there you can see all the shards of the chocolate.
Best part. Oh my God.
Wow. That's amazing.
I make a good cookie.
That's a good chocolate chip, folks, if I do say so myself.
Now that we've seen 3 different chefs make 3 different versions of chocolate chip cookies, I'm going to break it down to see what was different between each version. In baking science, weighing is really important.
It's important that the recipe is the same this time as it was the last time.
With Alina's variation, it was a little bit messy,
Looks good enough.
and so we don't have a lot of precision there.
These are not gonna be even at all.
Not all of the cookies are going to look the same.
They still look good.
Lorenzo did a little bit better,
It is important to level it off a little bit. Use your finger, use a spoon.
but we're going to have some variation because there's things like humidity in the climate where you're baking that are going to come into play.
Sorry.
Sugars have properties that are called hygroscopic properties. They soak up moisture from the air. Starches can do it as well. So depending on the environment you're cooking in, if you have a real moist or humid environment, or it's even just a rainy day where you're making your cookies, it's going to make a difference.
Okie doke.
Penny really did a good job.
Put them in the microwave.
Just cut it up a little bit.
Not only do I want to melt my butter, I actually want to smoke it.
Each one of our chefs did something really different with the butter. Alina used the microwave to melt her butter.
We'll have to put them in the microwave.
That's okay, but in reality you get some liquid portions and you get some solid portions, so it's not going to be a great way to mix your sugar.
This is like a semi-workout right now.
What Lorenzo did is he used butter at room temperature.
There you go.
That's a really good idea.
That's right.
For the creaming method. When you use room temperature butter, you can incorporate lots of air when you add crystalline sugar to the mix. That makes for a nice, porous, light kind of cookie.
Oh my God.
What Penny did is different and interesting. She used a melted butter. So not only does it give that butter flavor, but it's going to be evenly distributed throughout the entire batter, and you're going to get a more dense, chewy cookie.
It's really nice and chewy on the inside. Maybe really good with a glass of bourbon next to it.
Some of the chocolates that you get maybe in a chocolate chip bag
Okay, there we go.
might not be the highest quality chocolate. Do they taste good?
It's pretty good.
Yes, but they're not going to be tempered. They may have emulsifiers added to it. They may have other ingredients that won't cause them to melt as easily as some of your couverture chocolate does.
And that's it.
Things that have been tempered, things that have gone through a conching process, you're going to have more of a layering effect.
You can see all the shards of the chocolate that have made different layers, chocolate and dough.
When you think of a chocolate chip cookie, you're probably thinking first and foremost about the sweetness of the cookie. But if you add a little bit of sea salt or any kind of salt to the top of your cookie, it's going to really enhance that flavor. There have actually been studies done that show that some of the sensory cells that are associated with sweetness that used to be found just in the gut in mice now are associated with sweetness and enhanced by the presence of sodium. And we get sodium from the salts that we eat.
Okie dokie finoki.
Smoking the salt adds another layer of flavor to your chocolate chip cookie.
To amplify the smoky flavor that would be in the butter.
This is a really interesting idea.
Thank you.
And what makes it unique is that the smoky quality and the smoky flavors are going to balance out the bitter quality of the high-end chocolate that she uses, and it's also going to balance out the saltiness as well as the sweetness from the rest of the cookie. Many traditional chocolate chip cookie recipes call for the use of sodium bicarbonate or baking soda.
Make sure it's baking soda.
When you heat sodium bicarbonate, you get something called sodium carbonate, which has a little bit of a soapy, bitter taste. To balance that out, we want to add an acidic component. If you're using the baking soda,
Make sure it's soda.
you're going to need an acid. And if you're using just baking powder,
Powder's different, folks.
the acid is already in there in a chemical form, so you're good to go. Penny let her dough rest for 24 hours, and there's a lot going on when we do that. One of the important things is we have some of our flavoring components that are in our batter. They're hydrated, they're mixed well, and your flavor profile becomes far more complex.
I make a good cookie.
When it comes to sugars, you have options. You can use white sugar, which is crystalline sucrose. With brown sugar, it's sucrose, but it's also coated with molasses. Molasses is a byproduct of the sugar making processing. You also have things like magnesium and iron and other types of minerals that add a depth of flavor to the brown sugar that you won't have with the white sugar. The brown sugar also have this capacity to hold on to water. And so you're going to have this moist, chewy, more dense kind of cookie when you have the brown sugar. So there's a whole lot going on chemically with chocolate chip cookies. It's all about knowing the ratios and ingredients that you want to use in your recipe and knowing how they work with the other ingredients that are there that are going to make your cookie have the different types of properties that you're looking for. But regardless of all of that, everybody's always going to love chocolate chip cookies.